Hello, it's Daniel Hopper. Um, okay, jumping right in. This month, I was uh, I was much more comfortable working in Maya than I was the first month. The same somewhat applies to Unity and Nuke, although it's not as much. I think it has, well, I know it has more to do with just the familiarity that I feel with the software at this point. Um, Knowing basically how a lot of this operates. Being able to come through, mess with the materials here, normal maps, make everything basically do what I want it to do. I uh, I learned a lot this month, especially with Maya. Um, I don't know why I'm doing this. I Obviously the project we worked on, the majority of the time was this environment project. So taking it from this and turning it into this over the course of you know the month was just a ton of fun. Um, Going back to shading and lighting one, where I had trouble bringing the telescope out, scaling it down, uh, adjusting pivot points, and tilting it up to basically turning this flat gray surface into this transmissive glass material, uh, getting the candles to illuminate, doing the subsurface scattering into the candle wax, uh, specular highlights, specular reflections, um, all of that. Again, just going from this to this, it was a blast. I had a ton of fun doing it. Um, Overall, obviously, challenges presented themselves, but the only thing that I could not seem to work around or work through and get it to, do what I wanted it to was this painted areas, the painted area materials. Let's go to Hypershade. So for the building exterior, just because I wanted to see what the differences were, this is the original building material. And it's got, oh no, I don't know what happened there. Graph network. Okay. So, uh, so this was the original, the painted wall texture, the original normal map, and all of that is still what I left it on this wall just to see what the difference would be. So we'll go to 50 and just render it real quick. So I had originally used the normal map for the wall on these painted areas. Uh, I believe I used the same material altogether for both of those. But as you can see, this is still the original wall. This is, uh, I went in and made a whole new texture for, and I should have changed the name for that, but so building exterior. I don't like that it does that for some reason. Um, but so this is just a whole new texture, a whole new normal map, and I even tried putting this onto this, and it still didn't do anything. So I just reverted it back uh, to the original. I just selected the things and uh, did the whole add selected object or add assign materials to selection. Just put them back that way. That way it wouldn't cause any more trouble. Um, but yeah, that was basically the only major challenge that arose that I wasn't able to deal with. So let's kill that. Um, the project for this month that I am the most proud of is obviously the whole finished, fully completed environment project. I love the way the glass turned out. I had so much fun messing with this, and I can't remember what the property's called, but doing that, the irregularities on the inside edges of the glass itself. Uh, yeah, had a blast. Uh, Messing with this project in Nuke, what I did was with the EXR file, um, doing the whole separating them into their own channels, and then adding the glow specifically where I wanted it rather than across the whole image. Um, the emissive, obviously the candle lights. I don't know why it's only showing this candle light. That's strange. Um, and then the subsurface, I wanted it to have a little bit of glow on it as well. And then the transmissive glass, but the glow for these is set fairly low because I didn't want them to blow out so it's set for zero point 0.8 pixels. Um, the tolerance is set to 1 so that it's only gonna shine just a little bit around the outside of the the whitest white parts of the glass. So there's not a whole lot of bloom, but it is there, and I like the way that it turned out. It looks really crisp and clean, but you can that's the original, I guess, before I changed the wall texture. And that's I wish I could zoom in on this. I'm not gonna mess with that now. So yeah, there's a little, just a very minor bloom around there, very little bloom right around there. Uh, there's more with these transmissive surfaces than there are with these subsurface materials than there is with the glass, just because I wanted to go for that real crisp, clear, focused look in the shot. Um, I think overall it came out really great. Uh, Again, I had to change this because, like you said, the material I had originally was very flat, and yeah, it looks more like blue stucco than anything. So this kind of looks like the paint's worn off here, kind of up here, down here a little bit. Uh, some of the things that I had the most fun with this month, obviously the glass, um, but these guys right here. Oh wait, I've got a camera set up for them. These guys right here, the subsurface material. Let's do a pass, and then I'll crop it. Oh, I can do it now. So let's find it. Candle wax. So the subsurface area on it, I felt like originally it was getting a lot of really uh, white transmission going through it or scattering. So I set the path color, to a much lighter pink, like a warmer tone that I feel like would have actually bled through uh, on the candle. I had some reference images. I don't think I saved them. I just had them open in Chrome. Um, the color obviously is going to be the diffuse color, the gain, and then the path distance when I started. Let's see, 0.75. So when I started, I was way up here, and it looked like the whole thing was almost on fire. Uh, so I turned this way down, and I brought the bleed up, and I feel like the effect that that gave it is rather than the, let's see, it was 0.75. Oh no, 0.75. So I feel like the effect that it gave it, and you can see where the light is bleeding. You can see the little white specks or the little red specks in the candle. So it's not completely opaque, I guess. It is still transmitting light, but the amount of light is much less as it goes down through the material. So by setting the bleed up really high, I can't remember why I messed with the directionality. I think it was maybe shining out too much in some places, so I just messed with that until I got it the effect that I was looking for. Um, so, and I know in the lessons it was mentioned that the subsurface area is what we use when we make a material for human skin. Uh, my main goal is character modeling, and so I played with this a lot. I didn't try to go for human skin, but I played with it a lot just so I could kind of get a feel for how it works. That way, whenever I do start um, playing with it or trying to create a material for human skin, I kind of know what everything does. Um, the diffuse blend is just going to be this, and yeah. So I got a pretty good feel for it messing with these. Uh, and I really enjoyed doing it. Uh, I think the effect I got was pretty good because it looks like this is more of a rim around a opening down into the candle where the wax has melted, and so you can see as it kind of comes down and then it gets to the more solid part of the candle, it quickly falls off into almost nothingness, at the bottom. Although because I set the bleed so high, there is still some transmission going on through there. Uh, so yeah, that was something I had a lot of fun. I was really proud that I was able to make the oh, I locked the camera to make the effect that I had. Again, another one is the glass. When you see the material sitting here like this, uh, I didn't picture that it would come out like this. I thought, bottle. So learning about the glass and how it interacts with the light, uh, that was a lot of fun as well. And I think that the original or that the finished project, uh, it's just really cool. Making the little irregularities on the insides of the glass itself, that was a lot of fun. I can't remember what the effect itself is called, but um, doing all the little jewels, uh, looking up the reference images to and the refraction index for the different materials, so the diamond and the sapphire and ruby and all that. That was pretty cool. When you look at things in the real world, you don't think about how light breaks up differently inside of a diamond than in how it breaks up inside of a ruby or a piece of glass even. So that was really neat and interesting to learn. Um, other than the basic stuff that I went over in the shading and lighting one uh, review about working in one side and rendering on the other so that you kind of get a feel for how the things you're doing are affecting the project as you're doing them. The only other trick that I really learned or habit that I've seemed to have gotten into is I save a lot more often. I think this has to do with the hypershade thing where it was crashing. Uh, so, oh, I've also had, and Substance actually helped me with this, but I've had it say while I was working in this, I've had it say that my rendering device uh, has broken, and so it closed out. It's happened when I was playing a video game before as well. It said that it's a little box from Windows. It'll say the render device. I can't remember the terminology it uses, but basically the renderer or the GPU has stopped functioning, and so it's shutting the program down. So I've began saving all the time, uh, and depending on what I've been doing, obviously like environment part one, I saved. I did the whole assignment and then just saved it. Part two, and then part two work is what that's supposed to say. I don't know why it says work, but then part three, part four mods, and then part four mods was what I originally saved the AOB as. But then I went back and did some other stuff and changed it and saved it as render AOBs. So rather than just hitting save Control S, I've been saving as and making different iterations of the file. That way, in case something that I've done uh, between saves has caused an issue or broken something, or I've done something that like again like I did in Shading and Lighting 1 where I accidentally moved this wall like a centimeter or rotated the wall a centimeter and it broke the whole environment. um, so yeah, that's just something I've gotten into the habit of doing since I started this month, and I feel like even though I haven't run into any major issues other than basic crashes, I feel like it's probably better to have multiple saves of the same file in case something I've done does cause it to go horribly, horribly wrong. Um, let's see. All right, so something that I had that I really enjoyed and that I'm really looking forward to doing more in the future is the Substance Painter. Uh, this was my basic setup while I've been working in it. I've had it set so that I can just do it like that. And I've got all this free space to play with. Um, so let's see, let's go carbon fiber. So taking the basic carbon fiber, which you can see the little ridges in there, and then what was it? There was a size somewhere, but you can, uh-oh, what was that? Okay, I don't know what's going on here. That worries me. Uh, I always feel like I'm gonna break something. Oh yeah, something's about to crash. Okay. All right, cool. I think we're all right. Um, so taking the basic properties and changing the, you know, well, I guess parameters. I was gonna say properties, but uh, I took it. You can make it different colors. I don't know how. I can't remember how I changed the size of these bands. I'm not sure. That doesn't look right. I'm not sure how I did it. I know I did it. Uh, oh, pattern. Yeah, that's what it was. So I brought it up pretty well. It was like this, rotate 45 degrees. I thought looked a little cooler. Fiber intensity, you can basically make it flat or bring it up. This is kind of what I imagine the normal map depends on. And so taking these out of here and bringing them in here was a lot of fun. I was kind of wary when I saw that we were doing something in Unity because last time I had a little bit more trouble with this than I did with anything else. But this was cool. This is really cool. This is very, very video gamey. and that's more my area of interest. Um, the nuke stuff is cool, but basically it's making a render. But this is more like real time. Uh, as things are happening, how everything changes. So it's more movements. It's more of a live action kind of thing. Not live action, but you know what I mean. Um, so I had a lot of fun doing that. I cannot wait to get more into Unity, especially now that I've kind of got it set up how I want it. Uh, let's see. Back to Substance. So this was neat, doing the whole lighting from different angles was kind of cool. Uh, I didn't know you could do that until I saw that it was part of the assignment. Um, I wish I could change, or I wish I knew how to change, rather. I'm sure I can. Where the focal point of like rotation is, because it always seems to be this cube. But then sometimes I will click something or accidentally move something and it's not the cube anymore, and I have no idea how to change what I'm looking at or what the camera is going to be focused on. I thought it was this. I don't think it's this though. Yeah, because it's still focusing on the crate. But so this I had fun with. It seems kind of plain compared to the other things that I did, but when you look at it, it's actually two uh, two textures or two materials on the same thing, and just using my basic Photoshop uh, Maya knowledge, uh, multiply blend mode, right? So I got the American wood cherry uh, as the base material, and then I put rust over it so that it would look like it had some water damage or weather damage, and drop the opacity because that's what it looked like at first. So I dropped the opacity. I can't remember what I had it at. Oh, 83. Oh, 82. And then multiply. So divide, normal. But I didn't want it to look that damaged or because that kind of looks like it has actual rust on it. So I just kind of experimented and came up with multiply, which looks like maybe like a wood floor where the uh, the finish is kind of wearing away. Uh, it's kind of the effect I was going for. I think it came out pretty good. Um, and then yeah, bringing them into Unity, uh, had a lot of fun because it's such a brightly lit, just very uniform. Originally, this didn't look quite the way I was hoping for. I kind of wish that I could have rotated this so that it would have reflected some of the stuff underneath it, but I know because of how rough it is, have it wouldn't have shown very much more like a specular, like an actual image in there. But I feel like whenever I play it, you see the highlight going across it of the light, which is cool, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. But it still seems kind of like a flat blue shiny thing rather than like the sheet metal that I was hoping to go for. But when you come out of just that camera angle, you can really tell uh, more about the material itself. So, uh-oh. This I had to add a little red light to, not like a red, but like a warmer, because it seemed more flat, uh, uninteresting. But now with that light, you can kind of see the grains, shadows. Uh, just very, very cool looking. Uh, And again, you can kind of see it kind of do a little shimmer around here as it reflects. Uh, this was interesting because it just has a setting on the material itself that's just called damage. So I just kind of cranked that way up. Damages. Uh, and now I'm lost again. Anyway, there's something. There we go. So you can see, just the damages, and that's the you make it perfectly undamaged, and it's just uh, plastic stripes is the material, and then I just kind of made it a little more metallic and cranked the damage up, give it kind of a more interesting look. Um, yeah. So, oh, because I'm right here. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm really looking forward to using Substance more. Whenever I first opened it, I saw a little. Uh, it was one of the things that's open uh, when you first open it. So it's one of the things that was like up here, and it was a sphere, and then what looked like a paintbrush stroke out of Photoshop. So I got really excited and thought I was going to have to use my Wacom tablet for it for this part. And so I got it out and got it all ready, and then I realized that I didn't have to use it, but I did experiment some. I painted this box with basically every material that we had available in this. I mean, I stayed away from the skins, but uh, at one point this whole thing was these plastic fabric pyramids, plastic cables. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I feel like if it's something more like this, which seems when I look at it, crate material, it's got a lot going on, and I feel like uh, some of this would have been painted using the, the tablet itself, um, just to get the irregularities, get some. I feel like it would have been more hand painted than just dry brushed with a mouse. Um, so I'm looking forward to doing that because I really like using the Wacom tablet. uh, I used it for all of our tileable textures when I could have just as easily gone over those areas with the mouse and the spot heal brush, but uh, it's just fun to me. So moving forward, our next class is contemporary art, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is a core class, which leads me to believe that it's going to be more like the first 2 months, which is by which I mean it's going to be a lot less labor intensive than shading and lighting 1 and 2. And so my plan moving forward is to uh, get a jump on this, get maybe find some YouTube videos detailing how ZBrush works and trying to get some basic skill at modeling while I seem to have a little more downtime. Now I could be totally wrong, and contemporary art could be an extremely difficult course, but I uh, I think it's one of the core classes, and I think that uh, it'll probably be a little bit easier than something software specific that I'm going to have to learn and figure out and just work through and get really familiar with. So that's basically my plan. Um, I've had a lot of fun in this class, well, in these two classes. I kind of feel like it's one class, but technically it is two. It was really I learned a lot. Uh, I learned how to take everything in this scene and make it look basically exactly how I want it to in a final render. and not just using this, but taking this, uh, breaking the render down into the AOVs, and bringing it all together in Nuke, which again, this is going to take a lot of time and maybe an entire class where we don't do anything but work in Nuke before I get as comfortable with doing this as I am in Maya. Probably the same with Unity, but I feel like because of how excited I am to work with Unity, this one will probably be a little bit easier for me to pick up. But to take this and end with this, it was a really cool experience. So thank you, Mr. Edwards. Um, I guess that is about all I've got for today. Uh, hmm. I hope we do get to have you as a teacher again sometime in the future because you were very helpful and I learned a lot this month and last month. So thank you again for that. And with that, I guess I am going to call it a day. Okie dokie. Bye bye.